We just finished installing underlayment. We usually using dent shield from Georgia Pacific. This is more than moisture resistant tile backer with the built-in moisture barrier and also not that heavyweight. So this is the product we use. You can also use Durock. You can use other boards. Never use green board or regular drywall. This is something for you to keep in mind if you will see contractor doing tile work on a green board, especially in the bottom part of the shower or directly on the drywall. Send him home. But yes, here we're using dent shield, and we at the point where everything is already in place. The next step will be waterproofing, and regarding this part you can see this on my other videos that I uploaded a while back ago, how to waterproof shower. I'm gonna do this here also, and after the waterproofing will be done, we will slowly be starting tiling. This is it. 2 built-in niches and 1 lower one for the foot. Okie doke, so first pieces, of course, important thing before installing any pieces on the wall, please check if there's no any chipped edgings, chipped corners, because it's pretty common when it comes to porcelain or ceramic tiles that they're not perfect. So I'm inspecting each tile always, and yes, I'm pretty much ready. The setting component that I'm using latex modified mortar thinset always for the wet areas. I'm not really using mastic. Sometimes you can see contractor actually using mastic in the majority of the shower. It's not really allowed for the wet areas like shower, walk-in shower. We always use some type of thinset mortar. Latex modified will be the best one on the shower curb, on the walls, on the niche, because mastic, when exposed to water or moisture, simply turns to liquid product. So it might cause tiles to start cracking or simply falling off. I'm always using thinset. I'm using white one because it's good to work with. And the way I'm applying mortar, I'm never really applying it on the wall because it's wet, it likes to slide and make installation way more dirty and harder. I'm always applying setting component on each tile separately. I'm using 1/4 inch notch trowel to work with that. You can use different ones depending on the size of the tile and type of the tile that we will be using. So this is pretty much the way I'm working. I'm never, like I said, spreading thinset on the wall. It goes always on the tile, making sure that there's no empty corners, nicely evenly, and this way it's nice and clean to work with. I'm doing 3/16 of an inch spaces. I'm not really using 3/16 of an inch spacer because I already have this in eye after many years of working with the tiles. And also, many times tiles are not perfectly calibrated. What it means, if we will start using spacers that are already adjusted to certain size, if the tiles are not exactly same size, we will end up with a crooked grout joints. So I'm doing this differently. I'm playing with each pieces to make sure that we have the maximum the nicest installation and no crooked joints. Also, one of the reasons for me to do 3/16 of an inch grout joints, because this is the safe size of the grout joint for porcelain or ceramic tile, simply because of the calibration. When dealing with the better quality tiles, we can do 1/8 of an inch or even 1/16 of an inch of the space, but it hardly happens. Most of the times those pieces are not too well calibrated And yes, another thing I'm checking and everything is nice and flat. It's very important when doing the brick layout, especially to make sure that the wall is nice and straight. We don't want any tiles to be bumped. So this is it. The next step, of course, I'm not frosting this bottom piece. You've probably seen some videos when the contractor put the bottom part and then just started tiling, and then when you look closer at what he's doing, you will see all these crooked joints, and actually everything is not looking straight. So what I like to do, I like to put a level on top of the first roll always and see if there's anything I have to add to any of the pieces. I have those smaller shims to kind of add a little bit to the tile. You see, this one needed to be adjusted slightly. This one not really. So I'm ensuring that everything is nice and level, because this is our first roll, and if the first roll of tiles will be crooked, this is how the whole wall is going to end up. So this is the most important joint roll of tiles in every tiling job when we're tiling walls. Yes, so this moment we're ready. Everything is nice, everything is adjusted nicely to the level, and of course we will be doing cuts. The way I'm measuring for the cuts, I'm measuring always the bottom part and the top part, because the walls many times appear to be crooked and there's not much that we can do to really straighten them, to bring it back to the level. So if we can, that's great. If not, what I do, I'm measuring to the corner, and if we have the 3/16 of an inch grout, I will cut this a 1/4 inch shorter. So in this case, we have to the tile we have 4 7/8 on the bottom and same on the top. So my cut will be 4 1/2, 4 5/8, leaving me a little bit of the spacing here to the corner, and also 3/16 here. Same situation on the other side. We have same dimensions. I will work on the cuts in a moment, simply because I don't need them yet. The next roll of tiles, same situation. Applying mortar, and what I'm gonna do here, if working with a brick pattern, of course you want this to be centered. So I'm checking with a measuring tape. We have 6 and we have 6. So this is where it's center. The spacers I'm using, like I said, I'm not really using solid spacers as a spacer. I'm using those drywall nails, pretty much adjusting it to the correct spacing. We have 3/16. We can nicely play with those. You can use spacers, of course, but many times, like I said, if working with the spacers, grout joints are crooked. Of course, using spacers will be way faster, but it's not way better. So depending what you do, if you don't have time, you can use spacers and just follow the installation according to the spacer. My jobs are done precisely and nicely. There's no way to have any crooked joints. So this is how I'm working. As you can see, I'm nicely adjusting everything to the appropriate thickness, size, and yes. So we have first pieces already in place. Okay. Another cuts to the sides, but I can still wait with those for a moment. of course I'm putting level on top, ensuring that everything is the way it's supposed to. The goal is to have level lines, and yes. So the second roll in place. I'm gonna work on the cuts in a moment. Then we have another. So thinset. Here we have our center mark, so here I will be doing this from the center. Same situation. I'm doing a little bit of the spacing. Another piece. You see, if applying setting component on a tile, we are avoiding all this unnecessary mortar thinset getting through the joints. So the work is really nice, really clean, and later easy to grout. So 3/16 of an inch, putting my level to ensure that everything is in correct line. And yes, you can check the level, everything working nicely. I don't know if you can see it, but yes, so the first 3 rolls already started. The next step will be for me to work on the cuts, and we slowly get into the area where we have the niche. So I'll show you how this will continue. Okay, so Peter delivered me all the cuts, and I'm ready to put those pieces. The goal is to have the cut pieces, I mean we're cutting this using wet saw, to make them as dry as possible, because if the tile is wet, we apply thinset. Later when it dries, the thinset will not really bond too well to the back of the tile. So the goal is to have dry piece before actually applying thinset. So this is our first one over here. It goes in the corner. Okay. Then another one over here. Okay, now we have another solid piece that will go over here. I'm adding a little bit extra component because the wall appears to be slightly dented to the inside, just a little bit. So make sure you have this nice and flat. I'm adding a little bit more setting component. This is it, and now I'm checking everything is good. Another smaller piece, and pretty much I will continue like this all the way to the ceiling. There's no point for me to keep filming. You've seen the beginning. This is the most important part, to start this correctly, and the rest shouldn't be really too difficult. This is it. So yes, first 3 rolls with some cuts, and I will continue with this wall, and I'll show you how I'll be finishing the sides. When it comes to the niche, the type of the trim that we will use to finish it, I already have one of the videos on my channel on YouTube, where actually I'm showing how to tile it, how to tile the niche. So you can see this if you're interested in some other videos of mine. In this case we're focusing on other tile work that shower requires. I already finished this wall halfway. I'll tile around the niches. I did all the necessary cuts. I also did this half wall halfway up, and let me explain you in a few words what we did. Of course, I'm following the mark that I did previously, and of course the goal always to start from the solid piece on the edge. In this case, with an offset, we have solid and half changing. But if considering doing brick layout, what I'm always doing, checking how we will start, if we're gonna have half piece over here or solid piece actually over here, because it's not just random. We cannot just start however we want it. But I'm always checking, how it will look with the tiles that I already did on a front wall. The goal is to have this piece and continuation to look like a solid piece of tile. So let's say if we have shorter piece here, the goal is to have the longer cut over here. It's not going to be perfectly fit, so it's not going to be 12 inches, but it at least looks close. And you see what I did here, we have longer piece, so the shorter piece is actually on this side. And as you can see, this is why I have actually solid piece here instead of the half, because if I had half in this case, I would end up with another large piece here where the grout joint would be, and here on the bottom we would have this small cut instead, so it would look not like continuation. The goal is to for tile work to look like nice continuation, and this is what we're receiving in this case. Sometimes, no matter what we will do, because of the size of the wall, we will not have too good continuation or the nicest continuation, but most of the times it's doable. So this is why we're trying to coordinate the layout to this preference. Yes, so this is it. Like I said, I'm halfway up with the tiling. You've seen how I'm doing it, how I started this wall. I have the other wall still waiting. So here I'm going to show you the steps. Pretty much same situation as on the other side. I already know that I will start the first roll of our tiles from the half piece. It's pretty much solid piece cut exactly in half, so I can use both sides for our cuts. And yes, here I have our mark that actually I will follow, and the first pieces I'm pretty much just nicely attaching. Ja tak nie zasłania tam wiaderko. Okay. Second one. Like I mentioned previously, I'm doing 3/16 of an inch gouges, and I'm really using those plastic spacers because these pieces are not really well calibrated, and I'm adjusting the final width accordingly to each tile. Okay, so here we have another piece. Okay, and the next step, of course, will be for us to see and adjust the bottom so the joint will actually continue. Okay. This is nicely leveled. This piece is over here too, so it looks like it's going to be a nice continuation. I can easily start with another piece. In this case, a solid one. That will go on this side. The very important thing, as I previously said, is to use modified latex modified thinset instead of the mastic glue. Mastic, if applied in too much amounts, too big amounts, will never dry, or it takes months actually for this product to cure, to bond. And what many times happens, one of the phone calls that I'm receiving is that tiles broke when a company been putting the shower door. What happens, of course, they will be pushing the pressure when installing door, installing hinges, screwing this to the wall. What happens if we put too much pressure and the setting component is not dry 100%, the tile of course will crack. And using a mastic, using this glue, speeds up the process of tile installation. This is why many contractors, many companies will be using only this product or mainly this product just to save time, make extra money, but not really thinking about durability of the job and how the tile work will work over time. So when you have a contractor working on a project, please see what they will use in certain areas, and of course make sure that they use a good product. Here I will have a cut. This is once again our recessed shelf for the foot. This is kind of thin where the whole mortar can put in or something, or put a foot. And I will of course nicely tile it all the way around. But I will measure for this cut in just a moment. And here we'll probably work on it. So yeah, so we're continuing installation. Another half, another solid brick pattern, and I'll keep you updated how this one goes.